Man, 40k is having a bit of a bad week. Or rather, month. Well, rather few years.
Is that why you've not been talking about 40k recently?
No, actually, I've been wanting to talk about Age of Sigmar in order to better learn the setting and systems. I still want to do that. I don't want to be known as a 40k YouTuber. I want to be known as a TTRPG guy, the Conqueror and Conqueror Creations. So I talk about what I want with my Warhammer Wednesday videos. And this week I'm gonna do a bit something different than normal. I'm gonna be talking about a few recent events in the Warhammer community. Mostly codices, but maybe the frontline gaming situation and the possible solution. Let's jump into it immediately though, because there's a lot to talk about. First off, the Grey Knights had a big lore reveal that makes no sense in context or out of context. In context, the Grey Knights had their Terminus Doctrine, or whatever it's called, revealed. And the Terminus Doctrine has always been known as a if X then Y situation, where X is Big E dies. We didn't know what the Y was though. The 10th edition codex dropped and revealed the Grey Knights are required to keep the Emperor on the Golden Throne in case where he recovers, dies, and reincarnates, or whatever have you. I want to point out something with this, which I know that anyone who follows me on Twitter, you'll probably see that Synergy made a video bringing this up. But if the Golden Throne is barely working, the Mechanicus doesn't know how to keep the thing running. There was a book trilogy about this with the Dark Eldar, in fact. So the Big E getting up or reincarnating means the throne is stopped functioning. So if he comes back in a different body, why are they going to put the Big E on the chair? It does not work. If he's healed, he can fix it so he doesn't need to be on it anymore. It's just a big loop of, wait, why? And why would Malcador make this the doctrine if he didn't know that the Golden Throne would need a perpetual battery? The Grey Knights were made with the assumption that the Webway project would be completed and not need the Golden Throne for the Astronomicon. Hell, all documentations of the Terminus Decree, or whatever it's called, was that it would be activated if the Emperor dies. So, if the Emperor dies, if his brain stops, if his psychics end, they must take his corpse and prop it up. I think the dumbest thing is that the Grey Knights, who are the gene seed and genetically programmed to obey the Emperor, are required to kill the Emperor if he decides to stretch his legs. Seriously, Space Marines have a brain organ in them that makes them compelled to obey their Primarchs. The Emperor is the Primarch equivalent to them for the Grey Knights. But the Grey Knights have this organ that is preconditioned to obey the Emperor, and they're required to be ready to kill the Emperor of Mankind if his butt itches. And then add into it, the Grey Knights Codex apparently isn't that good either. People are saying it's worse than the Custodes Codex on release, but I don't know, I haven't looked into it. So, what about the Black Templars? They got a lore paragraph involving Grimaldus. You know, the character from the Hell's Reach books that offered to sacrifice himself and his closest brothers and the entire fortress monastery in order to have a single hive city on Armageddon, and specifically 2 soldiers on the planet. Yeah, starts the book and movie as a soulless, uncaring killing machine and ends it starting to understand the emotions of humans and how they love each other and miss each other when they're gone. Probably the greatest tragedy ever done by the Black Library. You know what story was written for the recent codex? Well, he convinces a whole city of humans to attack some Chaos Space Marines. Okay, die on your feet, sounds like good honor. And he runs away and nerve gases everyone, including the humans. Oh, well, I want to point out something about Space Marines, how the Emperor of Mankind described them upon their creation. Page 26 of the Horus Heresy Betrayal novel. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war forge them. They will be of iron will and steely muscle. In great armor shall I clad them, and with the mightiest guns will they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease. No sickness will blight them. They will have tactics, strategy, and machines, so that no foe can best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are my defenders of humanity. They are my Space Marines, and they shall know no fear. They shall know no fear. And yet they decided the honor-bound warriors of the Black Templars that offered his own life for honor has run away from a fight to bomb his friends and enemies from afar? Now, why the hell is Games Workshop, primarily through the Black Library, deciding to essentially take their best mysteries and greatest characters and stomp on them? Well, I've got a theory. Nothing concrete, so take everything I said with not just a grain of salt, but all the salt you can find. About a year or 2 ago, Black Library released a book with a character that's just the British politician Carl Benjamin, and wrote the character as a totally psychotic Chaos Space Marine. I want to point out that the guy actually stated he enjoyed the cameo and bought the book, putting GW models together with his son. I think what Black Library is trying to do is write in reaction to the world finding religion and Christianity growing at an alarming rate in the world. Keeping in mind the UK and how they illegalize anything sort of opinion that isn't just giving a thumbs up to the government. Now, in an attempt to sort of counter the growing religious belief, I think BL is trying to make the Imperium of Mankind not the good guys of the 40k universe, but they are definitely the best option given the others are self-destructive cultists, space elves that are constantly screwing themselves, space elves that are constantly screwing others, blind cows that are mind controlled by themselves or the cultists, or genocidal monsters, whether they are machines, fungal, or insectoid. My theory is that they are trying so hard to make the Imperium not the best option by making the dumbest decisions ever, which breaks the Black Library rule to not fuck with something someone else wrote. That's my theory, at least. It makes the most sense, but the left and right hand don't talk situation becomes painfully clear when Black Library and the model makers seem to have zero contact situations. I need a cookie, but at least my back is feeling better, so shove off.